All right, let's talk about one of the most mind-blowingly expensive roads in America. And it's not in New York or LA like you might expect. Nope, it's right in Georgia. State Route 400, or as the locals call it, SR 400, is getting a $4.6 billion makeover. That breaks down to nearly $290 million per mile. I mean, what are they paving it with? Gold leaf and Elon Musk's ego? But seriously, this project is making waves for more reasons than just the eye-watering price tag. It's not just a highway upgrade. It's a bold experiment in privatization, modern transit planning, and, let's be honest, government-level gambling on traffic projections. And we're here to unpack what's really going on. Is this Georgia's ticket to future-proof mobility, or just a really expensive band-aid for a traffic nightmare? So, hit that like button if you've ever sat in traffic and questioned your entire life. And don't forget to subscribe if you're into deep dives on mega projects that are changing the landscape. Literally. Now, let's rewind for a second. SR 400 wasn't always a mega commute war zone. Back in the 60s, it was just a suburban connector. Fast forward to today, and it's one of the most congested highways in the Atlanta metro. On a typical day, about 280,000 vehicles crawl along this stretch between Sandy Springs and Alpharetta. That's basically the population of Orlando, on wheels, and it's only getting worse. Projections say we're looking at 144,000 more residents and 114,000 more jobs in the area by 2050. So yeah, people aren't exactly staying put. Now, your first thought might be, why not just widen the highway? Great question. That was the initial plan, but here's the catch. There's just no room. Expanding outward would require bulldozing neighborhoods, businesses, maybe a forest or two, environmental regulations, red tape, public outrage. It's a nightmare cocktail. So instead, they've decided to go big and get creative. Enter the SR 400 Express Lanes project. This isn't just a bunch of new lanes. This is a complete overhaul, top to bottom, with a twist. The whole thing will be privately operated for 50 years. Yep, a public road run by a private company. That's rare and risky. The group handling it is called Peach Partners. Very on-brand, Georgia. And they're promising everything from smoother commutes to advanced bus rapid transit systems, BRTs, and fancy dynamic tolling. Let's break this down. The plan is to add 2 new express lanes in each direction. These will be high-occupancy toll lanes, also known as hot lanes, separated from the regular lanes with buffer zones. And they're not your standard slap some asphalt down and go lanes. These things are high performance. We're talking long-life concrete, fully electronic tolling, smart algorithms adjusting prices in real time. During peak hours, the tolls rise to keep traffic moving. During off-peak times, they drop. It's like surge pricing, but for your daily commute. And here's where it gets even more interesting. They're threading these new lanes into the existing median and shoulders. So instead of widening the whole road and kicking people out of their homes, they're basically surgically inserting these express lanes right down the middle of a highway that's still in use. Construction will happen mostly in the middle and along the edges, which sounds like a logistical nightmare, but it also means the general purpose lanes can mostly stay open. Imagine doing heart surgery on a marathon runner while they're still running. That's the vibe. But wait, there's more. There's a massive transit component too. A new bus rapid transit line will run in those express lanes, from North Springs MARTA station all the way up to Windward Parkway. That's a big deal because it means this isn't just a car-centric fix. It's an attempt to push people toward public transit, finally, right? Now, how do you pay for all of this? Well, Georgia's Department of Transportation, GDOT, didn't want to foot the whole bill. So they structured this as a public-private partnership, what the suits call a DBFOM model. That's short for design, build, finance, operate, maintain. In other words, Peach Partners is responsible for everything except outright ownership. The state still owns the road, but Peach Partners is taking all the risk. They even paid the state a $4.05 billion upfront concession fee, which Georgia says it'll reinvest in other projects. Funding comes from a mix of private equity, tax-exempt bonds, and federal loans. And here's the kicker. If toll revenues fall short, the private group takes the hit. If traffic volumes don't match forecasts, they could lose big. But if the tolls rake in the cash, they keep the profits. It's capitalism meets infrastructure. So why does it cost so much? Because threading new lanes through a fully functioning, packed to the gills highway isn't cheap. There's the engineering complexity, the premium materials, since the lanes need to last 50 years, and the high costs of maintaining traffic flow while construction happens. Oh, and don't forget the stations, platforms, and accessibility features for the BRT. They're not standard highway stuff. And every private investor expects a return, so all that risk comes with built-in premiums. When you factor it all in, materials, construction logistics, transit integration, private financing, it makes sense why the cost is pushing $287.5 million per mile. That's nearly 20 times the federal benchmark of $10 to $15 million per lane mile in urban areas. So yeah, sticker shock is an understatement. But let's zoom out for a second, because this isn't the first time we've handed roads over to private operators in the US. And the results have been very mixed. Take Chicago. In 2005, the city leased part of the I-80 90 to a private company for 99 years. They got $1.8 billion up front, which seemed great, until the lease was flipped to Canadian pension funds for $2.8 billion, and people started questioning whether the city sold itself short. Then there's Indiana. They leased their 157-mile toll road for $3.8 billion, but after the 2008 recession hit, traffic dropped and toll revenue plummeted. The operator went bankrupt in 2014, and a new group had to take over. It's doing better now, but it was a major warning shot. So what makes Georgia think this time will be different? Well, GDOT did run a value for money study, and according to their numbers, going the private route could save taxpayers up to $391 million in today's dollars. They also say the lanes will open nearly 2 years earlier than if the state handled it all directly. Construction starts in 2026. Major work will run through 2030, and the whole system is supposed to go live by 2031, assuming no delays. Yeah, good luck with that. Still, not everyone's sold. Critics point to a rumored 50-year non-compete clause that could limit future transit options, like rail lines or even new roads in the same corridor. Basically, the fear is, Georgia just locked itself into toll-based mobility for half a century, with no wiggle room. That's a long time to bet on one strategy. Add in environmental concerns, early land acquisition done behind closed doors, and the always-present risk of traffic projections going sideways, and you start to see why people are skeptical. Local governments are already asking for things like independent audits, public dashboards, and community advisory boards just to keep this thing honest. At the end of the day, the SR 400 project is like a Rorschach test. Some see a cutting-edge solution to urban congestion. Others see a dangerous overcommitment to a toll-based future that could leave lower-income drivers behind. And honestly, both views have merit. Is it bold? Absolutely. Is it expensive? Beyond belief. But will it work? That's the billion-dollar question. So what do you think? Is Georgia paving the way for smarter infrastructure? Or are we looking at a cautionary tale in the making? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. Do you trust private companies to run public roads? Would you pay to skip traffic? And what would you build with $4.6 billion? If you enjoyed this breakdown, hit that like button. It really helps the channel grow. And if you want to see more wild infrastructure stories from across the country, make sure to subscribe and ring that bell so you don't miss the next one. Until then, stay curious, and I'll catch you in the next video.